Welcome to the Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Podcast, where we talk to innovative artists, creative pastors, church planners, entrepreneurs, and people creating movements. Our goal is to inspire and equip you in ministry, music, and the marketplace. I'm your host, Tommy Urban D. Coloni. Family, what's up? Welcome to episode 26 of the Leadership Podcast. Glad you guys are checking it out today. I am really excited about this artist today, entrepreneur, creative, all things that is going to be with us today. I've been trying to get him on the podcast for a minute. He's super busy. This guy has a thriving YouTube channel. He's really kind of become like a YouTuber now. He's becoming even more known for that. And so who do we have today? We got my guy, Ruslan. Yeah, Ruslan, who is also was part of the Breaks, Dream Junkies. He's going to tell you a bunch of other groups that he was part of as well that I didn't even know about on this interview. But man, we're really excited to have him at Flavor Fest 2021. He's going to be doing a workshop for artists and entrepreneurs. He's also going to be doing some brand new music. He's going to share about his new record that he has coming out. So all that to say, guys, listen, if you have not heard, Flavor Fest is going down. And by the time we're releasing this podcast, it is less than a month away. But there's still room for you. Not room to perform, artists. We love you. But all the slots are full. They've been full since 2020. They were. And we had everybody chosen, and then the pandemic hit. We had to cancel it or postpone it. And all those people are the people that are just got moved up to perform in 2021. But artists, there is an artist workshop track that is going to be amazing. The guy that you're going to hear about today, and he's going to share a little bit about what he's going to be talking about in the workshop track. So listen, if you're an artist, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a pastor, if you're a church planner, if you are a nonprofit leader, if you're a leader at your church and you serve, like Flavor Fest is for you. You don't want to miss this leadership conference. And you can go to flavorfest.org, find out the details of the different workshop tracks and the speakers, and then, of course, the music festivals. That's Friday night and Saturday night. I mean, it is like really, for the rest of 2021, it's one of the only things going on. So you don't want to miss it. We got an incredible lineup of artists. Plus, we got the Battle of the Elements. Go to flavorfest.org. You'll see everything that I'm talking about. Lastly, before we jump in today, some of you guys, you might be new to the podcast. I encourage you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform and didn't know it's on YouTube, yeah, it's Urban D813. It's on my channel. And the Ruslan today, he's going to be even showing some stuff that he does with his different cameras and stuff. So you might want to go watch it on YouTube. And if you're watching it, listening to it on a podcast platform, if you could go ahead and like it, rate it, share it with some people. Our mission is, man, we want to inspire and equip leaders in music, ministry, and the marketplace. That's what we're about here at Flavor Fest. And so, hey, without further ado, we're going to dive right into my interview with Ruslan. Ruslan, what's up, man? It's good to have you on, brother.
Glad to be here, brother. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's been great to build with you over the years. We've done stuff together in Cali, in Pennsylvania a couple years ago. You've been down here to Florida. And, man, it's been amazing to watch your journey and watch you grow. And really, man, to, like, pick up new skills. So I want to dive right into it because, I mean, of course, a lot of people even on Flavor Fest podcast know you as, you know, a rapper. But now it seems like more and more people, they're knowing you as a YouTuber and as a speaker and somebody that's, you know, commentating on a lot of different things. So I want to dive right into it and just, man, talk to us a little bit about that journey of finding your YouTube voice.
It's a long journey, my brother. I had a conversation with a mutual acquaintance of ours in 2005, 2006, from a band called Fourth Avenue Jones, who you guys hosted.
Ahmad.
And Ahmad is
back
someone
in the
that,
day.
yeah, back in the day, no pun intended. I had the privilege of just having a friendship with him. And I remember we were having this conversation. I don't remember what the conversation was about, the context of the conversation. I don't remember anything. specifically about it. But I remember I was in college, and he was, I think they had just transitioned to Goatee Records, and I don't remember what the particulars were, to be completely honest with you. But I remember we had this conversation in the Ralph's parking lot right across the street from Cal State San Marcos. So we were talking, and he told me something, and he said, "Man, you aren't just a rapper." He said, "I don't know if rapping is a spiritual gift." He said, "You are a communicator, and there's multiple ways you can express being a communicator, and rapping is one of those ways. You can communicate through leading a Bible study. You can communicate through teaching a message. You can communicate through production. You can communicate through visual art." So that very early on in my process, man, set the precedent. First of all, just shout out to him for talking to a kid in his early 20s. Like, I had no real value to offer to him. He was just kind of mentoring me just cause, and his heart was always in the right place.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. What was your response to that?
It was just like, that emoji, the brain explode emoji. It was that, like, wow, And so the pro of that is that I took that to heart and I kept rolling with it. So whenever there would be new things, new opportunities, new outlets, I wouldn't limit myself. So I then dove into the San Diego slam and spoken word scene from 2005 to I think 2007, 2008. I was on the slam team with guys like Rudy Francisco, who's like one of the top poets in the world right now. Probably one of my favorite poets, Ant Black, who's a professor with his PhD. So I would always, whenever an opportunity presented itself, I didn't close myself off because, I'm just a rapper. And so that kind of parlayed into learning more about business and entrepreneurship and running a boutique label and jumping into video editing and mixing in production and all these different things. I would dabble into these different things because I didn't see limits and parameters, because that word that was said to me way back then was, I'm a communicator. You're a communicator, bro. And so that really stuck with me, bro. I think I even said it in a rap. We had a break song called For What? And this, I'm a communicator, motivational speaker, innovator, like that came out. And so that's the pro of that. The con of that is because I've done multiple things, I've never really stopped to just focus on one thing. So with YouTube, I had been dabbling in YouTube since 2015. I did my first vlog called My Days of Full-Time Rapper in 2015, Casey Neistat style. And the challenge was I kept doing a lot of other things, which I was okay at. I wasn't great at them. And right around the time the pandemic started, right around the time my wife got pregnant with our new baby, we have a 5-month-old named Zoe Grace. I felt this unction from the Holy Spirit to just be like, bro, you need to just focus on one thing for a season. You've never really focused on one thing for a season. You've always done multiple things and always juggled, and things would still be successful, but a lot of times it's at the expense of my own autonomous success. I would be successful with the Dream Junkies. I'd be successful with King's Dream, putting out other artists. And people behind the scenes would know, but it was never like, okay, what can I actually contribute? I would drop an album and not promote it and promote one of my artists instead, right? I'll start a vlog and not promote it and go book a tour and route a whole tour and plan out a whole thing, right? And so this was the first time in my life, honestly, at 35 years old in 2020, where I said, I'm just going to focus on YouTube for a season and see what happens. And it was hard and it was challenging because I still love music. And so since then, I think we grew by 60,000 subscribers this year alone. So it's what is it, September? We got at the top of the year, I was at like 40,000. So that was a pretty good growth. And now,
bro, you're right there. You're at 99,000.
Yeah, 99K, right? Yeah. I feel like I'm
99.3 or something.
Right. The Lord's gonna be like, no, you're not gonna find your value in these vanity metrics. I'm gonna have you teeter right there. So now there's a release to put out some new music, and that I'm very excited about. But it's such a different muscle, man. Like, I'm so meticulous about music and art. It's still very difficult to just like create. And I noticed that guys that have high output usually have teams, and that's what I'm trying to work through I can't do the production and the mixing and the mastering and the writing. It's just too many hats for me to wear when I have so many other things I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to flesh out, is like, what kind of systems on this. This is the first album in years where I didn't mix the whole thing. There's 2 songs that Iman mixed, and we're trying to give everything over to Iman, who's, in my opinion, the best engineer in San Diego. So going to his studio now, recording myself and all that. So trying to scale it out. So to answer your question, that seed was planted by, one of my favorite rappers early on. And it kind of took 15 years to take root, a pandemic, having a baby on the way, knowing that, if I want to get to where I want to get to career-wise, I got to kind of just dial it in. And then once I'm in a position where I'm comfortable and I'm stable, then go back and start helping pull other people up. It's very difficult to pull people up when you yourself aren't fully established and stable.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned like you did it all yourself and now you're building the team. But when it comes to YouTube, at least from where I'm sitting in some of the conversations we had, like you pretty much run everything yourself, right? So how do you juggle all that? I know you got like the multiple cameras and you're like switching everything, and you're great at it. Like you've like mastered the one-man band YouTube show.
I think people don't quite understand the role of technology in our lives.
Yeah.
Technology is supposed to make things easier. Technology is supposed to allow flexibility. So let's just stop thinking about YouTube for a second, but let's think about the Kanye Donda album, right? Traditionally, he would have to go fly into Hawaii. He'd have to go fly into, somewhere, and they would have to show up with crates of stuff, or they'd have to go rent out a studio for months. I mean, now this man did a listening party at a stadium in Atlanta. He's from Atlanta, and just for whatever reason, impulsively felt like he wanted to stay there, and built a stadium in a locker room with really a couple computers, an interface, a couple microphones, and like finished an album out of a stadium.
Yeah.
Technology is supposed to allow us to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where with the days when you and me grew up making music, that was not possible. You can just pull up to a stadium, pull up in a locker room, make an album, right? So I think right before our very eyes, the way we make music is changing. And I think videos is next. Yeah. I think we're about to go from a place of, man, I gotta do A, B, and C and all this fancy stuff. And now it's gonna go to, there's going to be a live music video that's going to come out. And I don't mean live as in a concert. I mean like an actual live video with camera cuts in a one take type of situation. I think like we're going to see stuff like that happen, and streaming live to YouTube with the Q&A afterward. Like I think this entire thing is going to get flipped on its head. And it's because technology is getting easier and getting cheaper. When I first started, I borrowed my church's old video switcher. That was a $5,000 video switcher that I bought when I was on staff there. They had upgraded to a 4K one, so I snagged it. Then the second video switcher I bought was the same version of that without the audio inputs, and it was like $1,000, or like, and I bought another one, was like $1,500 with 3 inputs. That one had audio and inputs, so rolling. And now I have a A10 Mini, which is a $300 video switcher.
Everything just kind of keeps
everything
getting better.
Getting better, getting cheaper. I have a Rodecaster Pro, which has amazing preamp compression, right? Just like a really good machine. So I think the cost of things is getting cheaper. So that's going to push the output and the innovation to get even better. And I don't know because I'm naturally a gearhead. Like I'm naturally into what's the latest thing? If I make an incremental investment here, it'll make this a little better. And space and not needing as a big of a video switcher, as big cameras, right? So I'm on a this is an SL3. This is I think I'm about to buy a 4th version of this camera. This is a $500, $550 camera used, right? Same thing here, $500. I think maybe it got this one for $450 on eBay, right? With a nifty 50 with a $100 lens. This camera and this lens is basically going to be my mobile setup. So
you gotta watch this on YouTube to all the people listening right now, because he's switching cameras and stuff.
Switching cameras, And then this is my main camera, which is a nicer camera. This is an EOS R.
Yeah.
With a Sigma 24 millimeter. So I say all that to say, once the price of stuff comes down,
Mm-hmm.
then it's easier. So we're going to Florida next week to hang out with the Valuetainment guys, my buddy Adam over there, and Patrick Bet-David, and we're literally bringing our own mobile setup and bringing all of our own stuff to pull up and do interviews at a hotel room, and they're gonna look fire. Like they're gonna look better than most people's YouTube, because we understand the tech side and we understand the lighting side.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I mean, from there, it's a no-brainer. It's game over. So that is how I kind of started dabbling with the YouTube stuff. And so, yeah, so to answer your question, if people understand the tech side, then they could autopilot everything. And I could even set the video switcher where it auto cuts, where say I didn't want to switch and look into a camera, I can literally have it switch on auto cut. I could keep talking to you, and then the cameras could keep cutting on me the way, you know what I mean? Like, which is totally insane how good this stuff is getting. So, and now recently, again, going back to building out the team and the systems, now Zach is taking over the thumbnails. He's my first full-time employee. You'll meet him at
were you doing your thumbnails yourself?
Yeah, I was doing
still?
the thumbnails. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask you about that, man. Yeah.
So I have a template that is in my OBS. So I literally just look in the camera. I preload everything inside of OBS, and then it's a screen grab, and it takes me no time. And now Zach's just gotten so fast with him that we're trying to, make him punchier and make him better as well. Yeah. But yeah, like if me and you had a conversation right now and Zach was doing something else for me, I can get an idea, make a thumbnail, and be live within 20 minutes. Or even 10 minutes. Like if we wrap this conversation, Pastor Tommy said this, boom, we could just be live. And that ease of output is huge. Yeah. The cameras don't move. They're permanently here. Everything is set up. So it's a combination of systems and teams. Build out great systems, build out a team. Most people want to do both. So they're trying to build a team. And the truth is, you don't have anything to offer a team. If you can't pay people what they're worth, or you don't have some degree of immense clout, preferably both, why would anybody want to be on your team? Right. And then, but the systems is the obvious one, right? So if you're a rapper, if you're a YouTuber, build a system where everything gets done the same way every single time. And that's how you get your output crazy.
Yeah. So technology, man, is leveling the playing field. And I love how you share like what you've learned. You even have on all your YouTube videos, you have all your equipment listed. Like, this is what I'm using, this kind of camera, this switcher, this machine, this, you said you being a tech head, and that's helpful, so I'm trying to learn and take some notes as well. That's good stuff, man. So when you're doing now, like, sometimes multiple videos a day, where do you come up with, because that can be a lot of pressure of like, man, I gotta keep producing. Where do you come up with, some of the ideas, and then sometimes you have guests as well. So how do you kind of get your daily inspiration to kind of keep that going?
Whatever I find interesting, I cover. So if I had you on the channel, all right, I think your story is fascinating, right? So that was content I think that turned into 4 or 5 videos. 1 hour long conversation turned into 4 or 5 videos, right? I consume a lot of YouTube because that's kind of my thing, right? So like I'm watching a lot of other people and paying attention to what I'm watching to, and what videos I finish, what videos I don't finish, what keeps me watching. So then that allows me to also react to videos, because if I'm always watching videos or I'm kind of tapped into what's going on, that's free content. That's easy content, right? So like today, for example, I woke up to, these are some ideas. I'm going to throw everything I have at you. I've been wanting to do a series on Proverbs, because I read a chapter of Proverbs a day. So that might be, I'm just going to start doing, hey, this is what I read in Proverbs today, or this is today's proverb, right? Boom. So there's that. There was the lady in Australia who said the new world order in the midst of vaccine mandates and all this insanity, right? So she says the new world order. So I have a whole take on like, hey, like, I think, vaccines are good. However, this is exactly how you make people angry. Don't say stupid stuff like this, right? So I have a whole nuanced take on that. So that's 2 videos. There was a comment that came in from YouTube about this idea of manhood, responsibility, people's political, socioeconomic status, and where's the tension in choices versus environment versus, right? Like that whole thing. So I have a whole testimonial video in my mind already. I responded to the comment. So I actually have the points I could cover right away. I have a thumbnail for that. Zach already made the thumbnail.
Wow.
So that's, what is that we just covered? Was that three ideas? Proverbs,
Yeah.
that
So you're planning
that
ahead in advance. You're already
yeah.
thinking about, what am I going to do over the next couple of weeks?
Well, no, I'm thinking about, what do I want to talk about today?
Oh,
Like,
even
what's
today.
frustrating?
Okay.
Yeah, like, what's frustrating today? What's
Yeah,
frustrating
that
today?
was just
The
today.
thing about,
Yeah, because a lot
yeah,
of your stuff is like current, like news right now.
Right, because I had this high school teacher, I think my freshman year, I think out of my freshman year, my senior year, his name was Mr. Hidalgo, and he was our history teacher. But the best part about his class was we would open every day with current events. So every day we open with, and that was the most interesting part, because we literally grab the LA Times, the New York Times, he'd have all the newspapers, and he'd read the stories to us, and we would just spend the first 20, 30 minutes discussing that. And I always loved that because it was relevant. And I always wanted to know what he thought. Like, who, this is around the time of the Al Gore, Bush election. So I was always interested in that whole conversation, and Florida playing a huge role in that, right? So I think there's something about current events that people appreciate, the perspective of folks they look up to, because there is a value to evergreen content. I could do a video, and I do, we're going through the Gospel of Luke on my channel. So I try to work in teaching from the Bible, directly from the Bible. But I think there's something valuable of like, oh man, there's this video that Kodak Black posted of him saying the sinner's prayer and seemingly getting saved on Instagram. I wonder what Ruslan thinks about that, And then the last one is, I read my DMs and I pay attention to everything people tag me in. So I'm always looking at, well, what are people talking about, and what do they care, what do they want my opinion on? And I'm sure it's the same way, for you in your role, Pastor Tommy. There are things that your church is curious about, and they want to know what you think about these certain things. And so the more you can infuse that and navigate that, not in a polarizing way, but in just a reasonable way, that's going to make the scriptures come way more alive when you can pull something out of culture or out of current events, the news, and say, here, now we're going to talk about it. So the strategy creates itself, right? It's a self-creation content strategy. And then the next level of this, which is where I would like to get to, is the Dave Ramsey, Kevin Samuels, people call in, and then we have dialogue back and forth, right? That is literally your audience making the content for you, and you're just there. You're just there giving your opinion, and that's the next level of I think content creation, which I'm hoping to get to, and I do that once a week. I have a video getting ready to drop on that right now. It's about Parkinson's law. Somebody asked me, they said, hey, I was thinking about quitting my job, but then I took a month off from work, and I realized I got less done while I was home from work than when I was working my full-time job. Why is that? Oh, that's Parkinson's law. What is Parkinson's law? Parkinson's law is whatever you give yourself the allotted time, you will fit what you want to get done in an allotted time. That's so right. If we say we're going to do this podcast in 30 minutes, or we're going to do this podcast in 3 hours, whatever the goal is, we're going to fill up that time. I want to make a beat in 30 minutes, or I don't have a time. And most people don't put time limits on stuff they want to do, right? So it's like such a simple productivity hack. I want to finish a song in the next hour. Boom. If I don't, I'm not going to get to go here, or I'm going to be late, or whatever. And most times you give yourself that. So anyway, that's a video from one of our live Q&As where people call in and ask.
Yeah. Well, hey man, let me just say, you are doing a great job with tackling a lot of current events, cultural events, stuff that can even be polarizing, and trying to, pull people to a balanced middle. And I today was just even showing one of my other staff members, I'm like, I'm going to be talking to Ruslan today. Let me show you his channel and some of the stuff he's talking about. And he was like, oh my gosh, this guy is like, the diversity of all the different things that you cover, just even on, like, as he was looking down the page, like the last 10 to 15 videos. I mean, you do it in a way that's very balanced, and trying to pull people to a healthy biblical center. And man, I give you props. It's not easy. At the same time, I agree with what you said, because there is a lot of pastors and communicators that listen to this podcast, watch these videos, that are part of kind of the Flavor Fest family network. And what you said is, trying to, as you're communicating, how can you pull in current events and current things? And I think a lot of pastors don't always do that. They just are like, well, let me just talk about this one man, how can you tie in some current things to make it sticky? So, for instance, our church right now, we're doing a 40-day challenge called the Red Letter Challenge. And it's actually a book. And so we're looking at the red letters of Jesus. It's kind of like 5 main things that Jesus talked about. He talked about being, forgiving, serving, giving, and going. Those are the 5 main targets. And we're kind of walking through that. Today's day 13 in the devotional book as we're going through it. But the first week when we first started it, we're challenging people 2 weeks ago, like, hey, you got to take the challenge. We did some promo video stuff, just goofing around, where I had a crate. And I'm like, come on, y'all, you ready for Sunday? We're going to take the challenge, and I came out on stage with a crate and stood on it. And I'm like, y'all ready? Bring the other crates. I was just fooling around. But everybody was talking about the crate challenge, especially a couple weeks ago when it first popped off. And we're like, man, we want to give you a challenge that's way greater than that. You're not going to fall. You're not going to crash. This is, so just even those little things like that. And we actually showed a video, like that's a highlight video of some crate challenges of people spilling and put like a hip hop.
You should have done a crate challenge. You should have put some cushion on the bottom, like you're at a
we were joking about the problem was, Ruslan, we could only find, literally, dude, in the whole building, we only found 1 crate. And we were asking
where are people getting these crates from?
Nobody could find crates because everybody's taking them. So we're like, listen, if you bring some more crates, we might build this up over the series, and by the end we'll have enough to do it. We might have to put a mattress on each side, but so we were playing around.
That's brilliant.
So we have fun, man. But that's great, man. I just want to say too, I'm proud of you for like just how you become a great entrepreneur, because you work for you now. So you have to be very disciplined, but you're doing this full time each and every day. So I just wanted to ask, like, do you think, and I know it has, but talk about how your upbringing and your history of even being a refugee and coming to this country, how did all that kind of play into that entrepreneurial mindset and creating a work ethic and building like something from nothing?
When you don't come from this country, you don't have certain things. You don't have family here that can get you a job or get you through college or tell you their experiences, right? You don't have a network. You don't quite understand the language and the culture. And those are all challenges. But what you do have is you have perspective in terms of what is possible. Because your perspective, it goes, whoa, well, gosh, like Soviet Russia, like that. This is as flawed as it is here. This is substantially better than what we had back there, and the ability to move up the socioeconomic ladder. Even though we don't start in the same places, obviously, right? We're all going to have different challenges. For me, I didn't know the language. I didn't know anyone here. I didn't have a lot of network. I didn't have an alma mater that my dad went to. Yes, all those challenges, but I had a degree of perspective and understanding that, whoa, wait a second, like this is unlike anywhere else in the world. I'm watching my dad build businesses, right? Even though he left fairly early, I'm watching him build a good life for himself. So there was a degree of like perspective there, man, that I don't know if I was here and I did have this like cookie cutter family, right? It just gets me concerned about my son, because I'm like, dude, this dude's gonna be soft. Like you got it fairly, so now it's like I'm trying to get him to solve his own problems, because he's like, Dad, carry my Beyblade stadium down the stairs. I'm like, no, you carry this is your problem, not my, right? So I was trying to I don't want him to grow up and not have adversity, because the adversity oftentimes makes you. So I think that is the biggest thing, is that like a healthy amount of adversity helps me to overcome a challenge and problem solve. And I don't know if that's learned. I don't know if that's genetic. I have no idea how that all, God's sovereignty and providence versus my choices. And I don't know. So I think one perspective, two, there is a genuine curiosity that I wish more believers had. Jesus said to be like children, to have, to have childlike faith. And one of the things that children are, the younger they are, the more they are, is they're curious, right? I have a 5-month-old. She doesn't need an iPad. She doesn't need a screen. She doesn't, right? She literally you could just hold her and she's just looking around. Like
Yeah.
she's so intrigued by everything. And sometimes we grow up and our brains and our perspective just kind of becomes stiffened. It becomes like cement that is dried, right? Instead of saying, let me be a little more curious about what is this YouTube thing? Wow, this is, you know what I mean? Like this isn't, everyone has one of these now. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, there's ads that run and they give some, well, okay, right? It just, things are the way they are and we're not very curious. I think being an immigrant definitely gives me a degree of curiosity of what's possible, because there was like growing up a immigrant refugee kid in a Black neighborhood. I didn't have the context of this is Black music and white people aren't allowed to listen to it. It was like, this is music. I like this music. I'm going to try to do this. But it wasn't until I got into the suburbs that somebody was like, you're not allowed to like Black music. I'm like, oh, what? I just like it. It's right. So there aren't these limitations put on you when you are being curious and you're trying out things. And so I would say that is probably those two things, man, is the adversity, the perspective, the curiosity. And then that just keeps building on top of each other. If someone could be curious, man, I tell you what, if somebody could be genuinely curious about whatever it is they want to be successful in, you want to be shredded and have 6-pack abs, just be curious about how that happens and all the different pathways to that. Some guys get on TRT, some guys do it naturally, some guys have had abs since they were 15, they just never let themselves go, right? All the different pathways to get there. You go, oh, okay, I could do one of those, right? Like I can find one, but I'm not saying do TRT and do steroids, but I'm saying, oh, okay, you got to eat more chicken and I got to cut out the carbohydrates and the processed foods and I got to drink more water and I got to train.
Lots of sit-ups.
Right? I do lots of sit-ups. Or, hey, I want to become a millionaire. Okay, there's 500,000 people in America that make $1 million a year. $1 million a year is around $83,000 a month. $83,000 a month. Let's break that across 5-6 revenue streams. Okay, so if I'm a rapper, merchandising, DistroKid, sync licensing, shows, consultation, conferences, so on and so, my own events, YouTube. Okay, so if I can get 5, 6, 7 different revenue streams up to 5 figures, I can make $1 million a year. I was curious I had to reverse engineer that. I had to get curious about that to figure out how that number works. Where instead, I think people, again, their brain is just dry cement. They look and they go, oh, I can never make $1 million a year. That's never for me. You know, and I'm like, and by the way, statistically, you are more likely to have $1 million net worth in America. You are more likely to have $1 million net worth in America than you are to be shredded and be in elite shape, by the way.
Yep.
That's interesting, is it not? So there's over 15 million millionaires. There's over 500,000 people that make $1 million a year. And there's only about 30,000 elite level athletes that are shredded. And my thought goes, well, shoot, it's harder to be the athlete. What if I could do both? What if I can get super shredded, and the adversity and the lesson I learned from that, I could pivot over and make a 7-figure income.
So that's why you just came from the gym, right?
That's exactly it. That's exactly
right.
it.
Eating that healthy food. I see you, man. That's good, man. Well, let's shift gears a little bit. And you've talked about it a little bit here and there, like, you know, hinting at it and talking about it because it's who you are. It's in your blood. But let's talk about music for a little bit. And, you know, I remember when I first was hearing about you, you were in the breaks. And, man, I love the breaks music. It was lyrical. It was creative. It was different than a lot of other stuff that was out, you know, in the CHH kind of world. And I know you guys kind of pivoted in both mainstream, underground, and, you know, and CHH. And then it kind of like shifted and you guys changed names to the Dream Junkies and you started King's Dream Entertainment.
Yep.
And then eventually, you know, some of the guys in the group went different, you know, directions with life and marriage and kids and just different things. And then you went solo. And now you're like, you know, in Indie Jones, you know, putting out stuff. And so talk a little bit about music, man. Maybe even just a little bit of the history of how you went you know, from being in a group to then being a solo artist, and then talk about what you're working on, man. You hinted at it a little bit, this next project, and
Yeah.
you got some new music coming at Flavor Fest, I heard. So
Yes. Well, when is this airing? I guess that's the more important
this is
question.
airing like in a few days, man, from us
Oh,
filming
perfect.
this.
Okay.
This will be next week. By
Dope.
Tuesday, it'll be live.
Dope. So yeah, so single coming out Friday the 17th, called First Love It. Project coming out September 24th. The project has Nick D on it, I Am Rescued, Stephen Malcolm, who else is on there? Sharp Dialect,
Yeah.
Mike LV. So to answer your question, the journey has been all over the place. And ultimately, if I can look in hindsight, and hindsight's always 2020, is that I've always been what I would call creatively codependent, because I was an only child, because I never worked through my trauma, because I never dealt with my own stuff. I would always want to work in collaboration with people, which is great.
Yeah.
As long as you can maintain individual autonomy. So the groups, I mean, there's been a ton of groups. There was the Titans, and then there was the Thoughts Aloud, and then there was the Breaks, and then there was Gallery Drive, and then there was the Dream Junkies, right? So I've always
I didn't know
done
about some
the
of
group
those.
thing. Yeah. A fun rabbit hole for people to go down is look up Gallery Drive. Psycho is actually a pretty big record. So with that, it's easier to make music that way. It's easier to put it out. The issue is then you get lost. Your identity gets lost in the context of this group, and then you don't remain autonomous. And so I kept dropping solo stuff all along, but I just wouldn't let the solo stuff be the main thing. And that was on me. So now after Dream Junkies, it was like, okay, cool, like I'm just gonna go and just put out as much music as I want to. And so some of that music wasn't the most successful from a streaming standpoint, but it was enough to sustain me financially as I figured out what I was going to do with YouTube. And also it did really well on the back end in terms of sync licensing, and getting Will Smith to use some of my instrumentals and all this stuff, which shout out to MusicBed. That's who kind of oversaw that side of things. So it worked out. And so I was able to like put out music and exhaust every possible revenue stream between merch, sync licensing, album sales, streaming, physical sales, all so on and so forth. So it's been a wild journey, man. And I will say that everyone I've been around, I've learned something from. I've gleaned a lot of wisdom from, the incredible talent I've been blessed to be around. However, I think the lesson is don't be creatively codependent. If you're going to do stuff with people, make sure your name is attached to it as a primary artist, and don't be in a group with someone, because seasons change, life change. And this is no knock to anybody. This is like people just change and evolve and grow.
Yeah.
And so that's more or less like the history. And then it's also like the work balance is off, meaning that it's like being in a group in high school, and you're doing a group project. One person kind of takes the lead on the group project, and then everybody else kind of coasts. That's always been me, which then creates resentment and can create challenges for those interpersonal relationships. When it's you and your homies doing a group project, and then you're kind of doing most of the legwork, and they're just kind of, they're doing the presentation, and the presentation looks like the meat of it, but when you're doing a group project, it's all the stuff behind the scenes, and that's how it all, and that's how it all played out. That's how it all played out. And then so the teacher will look and be like, oh, well, you got an A, but this person got a B. And it's like, why did I get a B? Well, it's because I know that this person, I watched you guys work this, you know what I mean? And that creates tension. And so, yeah, man. So the lesson I think for me was, again, focus on building the things you need to build out, help people when you can't help people, and help people without strings attached. Everybody I work with now, I don't have professional working relationships with. I don't have paperwork with people. I don't need that kind of stuff, because if I'm going to do a project with somebody, produce a project, help somebody put out a project, do a song with somebody, I don't need all these extra things, because then you lose yourself in other ventures, instead of saying, no, what am I supposed to do? And I also know that I'm not the manager. I'm not the record executive, like I'm actually not that guy. And though I fulfilled those roles for different people, I was miserable doing some of those tasks for other people. And I also think those things are becoming more and more obsolete. Like labels are becoming more obsolete, managers are becoming more obsolete. A lot of these things are becoming obsolete. And I think you're going to see a day where artists that want to will be able to drive the ship and maybe have a lawyer, a booking agent, an assistant, and someone they consult with, and that's it. You're going to see teams get smaller. You're not going to see these massive like bureaucratic systems to put out art. I think all that's going to be dead soon.
Yeah, that's good. Even like you talked about, the technology is leveling the playing field. There's so many different things that are literally at our fingertips that we can now take advantage of. And I know that even for me, in a lot of the things that I do, my team has gotten smaller in some ways, and there's some stuff I'm just able to do myself, and it's just quicker, it's faster, and technology has sped everything up, and that bureaucracy is not there. Everything is streamlined. It's good. So
because everybody has an opinion and everybody has input, and right, or everybody thinks they have an opinion, and it's like,
I think they know.
I don't really need your opinion on this, bro. Like I actually didn't even ask for your opinion. I just played you the record.
And you get stuck in meetings about meetings, and like,
oh my gosh, that was the part I really didn't like about ministry too, is that there was just so many meetings, and then the meeting after the meeting, and then the meeting to decompress the meeting. It was a mess
over the committees. We try to keep meetings to a minimum here, unless they're strategy meetings. But that's one thing I'm not crazy about with ministry sometimes, unless I'm meeting with a person one-on-one and ministering to them, helping them. But meetings can wear me out. You ask my team, after about an hour and a half, I'm like done. There's a few other people on my team, like they could go all day with the meetings. I'm like y'all can keep going. I'm out. I got stuff to do. Well, hey man, we're excited, man, to have you at Flavor Fest doing some of that new music. But in addition to that, you're doing a workshop. So the last thing I wanted to just ask you, if you could give like a little commercial of what you're going to be talking about in your workshop at Flavor Fest in the artist track. So if you're an artist and you are listening to this or watching this, like, man, you want to make sure you get to Flavor Fest and you get to hear Ruslan's workshop. It's going to bless your life.
We are doing a workshop, and by me, I mean me and Nick D are doing a workshop on the new pathways to becoming independently successful, whether through YouTube, through TikTok, or a combination of the two. And we're basically going to give everybody the blueprint. And most of them aren't going to do it. Most of them aren't going to apply it. But for the very few, right? Many are called, but few are chosen.
Yes.
The very few that are like, I'm actually going to put it into practice. This information packaged with the inspiration, meaning I'm not just giving you hypotheticals. I'm going to tell you what I make. I'm going to show you what it took. I'm going to give you the real deal. The information with the inspiration, I think, will change someone's life from this event. I think someone's going to come here who was doing the same old, buying into some of the nonsense of you need a machine, you need a label, you need a team, you need this, you need that. And they're going to walk away and implement some of these things, and it's going to radically change the trajectory of their career. It's going to allow them to make money and create economic opportunity for other people, and it's going to save them a ton of heartache. And so I'm looking for those people. There's going to be a handful of those people there, and those people I'm probably going to see and build a relationship on the strength of building a relationship. I'm not going to charge them for no coaching. I'm not going to try to get them in a mastermind group. Like, I'm going to take interest and pour into those people that take the information and start doing something with it and understanding how it works. And ultimately the big idea is like, man, we got to get away from this narcissistic attitude to ministry, this narcissistic attitude to creativity. It's not about you, bro. It's not about me. It's not about any of us. It's about people and what can you add to people, whether you make them laugh, whether you give them some inspiration, whether you give them some hope, whether you give them some context behind the scripture, whether you tie in a current event. Like, if we could understand that it's about people first, and then us accommodating what they want. Obviously, it's about God first. Somebody's going to take this out of context. It's about God first.
What are you
then
talking
it's about
about?
People, right? Then it's about people. And if we could understand how people's attention span works, sky's the limit in terms of what we can do. The issue is every rapper, every YouTube creator that I see that's just getting started, they really think it's about them.
Yeah.
Like, how many times are you scrolling through Instagram and the video starts with, hey guys, I got my new single coming out. Just wanted to, like, I don't give a crap about your new single. What are you doing to add value to me today? What are you doing? Are you going to make me laugh? Are you going to, how are you going to, right? Or so everything is about, guys, I got this. It's like, your strategy should not open with the word I, right? Like, it should open with something else. Tell me a funny story. Give me something to be sad about. Like, speak to me emotionally. And so we're going to be unpacking some of that and giving them really practical examples, probably giving them too much information. I don't know if this is going to be streaming, but if it's not streaming, they're going to know the ins and outs of what I make and how it all works. I'm sure Nick is going to be very vulnerable and transparent. And so you're just going to get two different perspectives of guys that have built out things two different ways. And very few people are going to actually do anything with the information, which is, it is what it is.
Yeah,
but for those 5 or 10
but there
people,
will be a few.
Yeah, but the few people that actually listen, take it to heart, are going to have the trajectory of their careers changed, and how that plays out is going to be incredible. So that I'm most excited about meeting those people. I don't know who those people are yet.
Yeah, well, hey man, thank you for, offering to come and be a part of it, and to be so transparent and share. And that's one thing I love about you is that you will tell people what you've learned and what you know, and you're going to warn people about pitfalls and all kinds of things. And even just in some of the conversations I've had with you, you've brought value to me and taught me some things. I'm always trying to learn as well. And that's the problem. I think sometimes people think like, no, I got my way and I figured it out. Man, we always need to be learning. There's always new stuff, new things happening, new trends. There's people God puts around you. There's information around you. Like you said, it's all about if you do the work, if you apply it, and you're bringing that disruptive value. That's actually the title of the article.
I like that. I like how you tied that in.
That's the title of the article that is about Ruslan. That's going to be in the new issue of the Soul Mag, issue number 29. Yes, and it's still in print. Like, it's real physical magazine. It's digital as well. You can find it on issue.com. But the new issue is going to drop at FlavorFest. If you come to FlavorFest, you'll get one in person. And Ruslan's name is on the cover. I was telling him his name is on the cover. I made it. Not his picture, but his picture is inside.
Not his picture. We'll get the picture there. But, I need another couple 100,000 subscribers, and you guys be forced to put my picture, my face.
Be forced to. But like, we can't ignore this guy anymore. Well, hey man, thank you so much for being on today. We're excited to see you at FlavorFest in just a couple of weeks. But last thing, man, could you pray for everybody that's watching this right now or listening to this right now? Pastors, artists, entrepreneurs, and just bless them, man.
Yeah, let's do it. Father, I thank you for Pastor Tommy. I thank you for the team over there, Crossover. I thank you for their vision for FlavorFest and just the leaders that are listening today, Lord. You know the wide spectrum of people that are paying attention. You know their challenges. You know the things that you're stirring in their heart as maybe they've heard something in this conversation that got their wheels spinning, God, maybe presented some hope that they didn't have before, Lord. And so what I'm asking on our behalf, Lord God, is that you would give us the resource, the people, the network, the strategy, the work ethic, the supernatural intensity, Lord, to get to from where we're at to where we would like to be, Lord, if it is in your will. So I thank you for this conversation. I thank you for Pastor Tommy. I thank you for FlavorFest. I thank you for his team. I thank you for his wife, Lord. And I lift them up. I bless them, Lord God. I pray you would just continue using them in Tampa to make your name famous, Lord God, in a way that's relevant, engaging, impactful, Lord. So in your name, we pray these things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Yeah, family, it's my guy Ruslan, and like I said, man, I'm amped that he is going to be at the fest this year. He's going to bring some disruptive value for real. I mean, I'm going to be in that workshop track, sitting in there as well, absorbing like a sponge. Listen, there is going to be a virtual option for the conference as well. So if you go to flavorfest.org, you might be like, man, I can't make it to Tampa that weekend. There's just no way I can make it down. Or maybe you just can't afford it. with the flights or driving or whatever. But there is an option for you to watch the conference virtually and the music festival, or all of it together, or you can separate it, all that stuff. So go to flavorfest.org. There is an option for that as well that we are opening up right now. So spread the word. All right. Well, hey, we're going to keep feeding you this content on a regular basis between now and Flavor Fest. So stay tuned. The next episode is coming soon. We want to pour into you guys. And again, if you enjoy what you heard here, what you watched here, like it, subscribe, share it with some other people, get the word out. And yo, we hope to see you guys at Flavor Fest. God bless. Thanks for tuning into the Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Podcast. Stay connected with us on social media at UrbanD813 and at FlavorFest. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace and God bless.